planet is unique, how much of what we know about life on this planet just had to be so because that's the only way for life to be, and how much of it just happens to be so. For example, would you expect to find eyes in alien life forms? Well, we can tell by looking at the family tree of life, the evolutionary tree of life on this planet, that eyes have arisen several dozen times independently on this planet, which kind of argues that eyes are rather likely to evolve, assuming that there's light. And there's pretty much got to be light on any planet that has life, because any planet that has life has pretty much got to be close to a star. So you might infer that there probably will be eyes. If you look at the eyes on this planet, there are about 9 different optical principles, all of which have been used, and physicists don't know of any other way in which you could design an eye. I mean, there's even some scallops have parabolic reflector eyes, like a reflecting telescope, and then there are various other kinds of eyes. So I think it's not a bad bet that alien life forms will probably have eyes, and one can go through a list of other things and make similar inferences.
Well, I want to add to some things, and I think that, as you pointed out, the evidence is growing in many ways that I would argue that, in fact, that we're not unique in the universe. Certainly, we're clearly, I expect, not unique in our solar system, because we've discovered that no planet is an island, that there's material being transferred between Mars and the Earth and other planets, and that extremophiles, as they're called, could easily survive the voyage in a rock between Mars and the Earth.
So you mean that you would think there might actually be earthly life on Mars?
Well, in fact, I think that a friend of mine who studies this had said that the big surprise, if we discovered either extant life or not on Mars, would be if it weren't our cousins.
Oh yes, if we find life, but I'd be surprised if we do find it. But
yeah, I think we might. Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised if we found some evidence of past life, but because the Martian environment was more conducive early on. But we'll find out. But what is interesting is we've discovered, as you pointed out, when we try and think about life, we try and extrapolate from what we know, because there's a famous story that if you have a drunk comes out of a bar and loses his keys, where would he look? He'll look under the lamppost. Why? Because that's the only place he's going to find him. And it's simple. If you're a scientist, the first hypothesis is to say, well, what are the conditions that led to life on Earth? And we're learning about those. We know organic materials, water, sunlight, and all of those things we're learning are much more prevalent than we thought. Water we knew was prevalent, but we're discovering the basis of rather complex amino acids on comets, and we're discovering the basis of complex what would become organic materials already exist in interstellar space, and so that already gives you confidence. But we're also discovering that things are strange, as we always do when we open a new window on the universe, that things are stranger than we imagine. As you pointed out, when we talk about Saturn or Jupiter, well, they have small planets, but we used to think that all solar systems that had Saturns or Jupiters, that they'd be way out far away and the rocky planets would be inside, and we discovered that thinking was wrong, that solar systems can be much more exotic than we thought. And that means that the set of possibilities might be much larger. For example, you just said that life needs sunlight to evolve in some sense, but maybe it doesn't. I mean,
there's got to be some source of energy, and
or maybe internal energy in
it might be
exactly. And so we just don't know the set of